Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our webinar. Today's webinar is on optimizing social media so your customers can find you. Today is Thursday, October 13th. For those of you who are familiar, my name is Nick Fry. I'm the Manager of Business Development with Tourism Nova Scotia. And Tourism Nova Scotia is a division of Communities, Culture, Tourism, and Heritage. And we work with communities and industry to attract visitors to the province and increase tourism revenues through experience and sector development, business coaching, marketing, and visitor servicing. Our collaborators on this webinar series is Digital Nova Scotia, and they are the industry association for Nova Scotia's $2.5 billion ICT industry. They work with the digital technology sector. They represent over 250 members, including startups, small businesses, medium enterprises, multinational corporations, governments, post-secondary institutions, and more. It's been such a great partnership, and we're so happy to have them here today, joining us and putting on this series. Now, this webinar will be recorded, so if we go over an hour and you have to go to another meeting, that's fine. You can come back and catch the end. If you find it valuable and you'd like to share it with one of your colleagues or another business, please do so. We would encourage you to ask questions throughout. You can put them in the Q&A at the bottom. Any links or resources we speak about throughout the webinar, you don't need to write them down. We'll share them in an email afterwards. So everything will be there for you. And if you find this valuable, you can check out our other webinars at tourismns.ca/webinar series. So I'd like to introduce our topic. Oh, and I forgot to talk about Digiport. So hopefully a lot of you on the call today would have signed up for this webinar through Digiport. And Digiport is a partnership with Digital Nova Scotia and Tourism Nova Scotia. It's a one-stop shop for your interactive services and educational opportunities to help businesses bridge the digital gap. There are, courses available, there's programs, there's webinars, and it's all in one spot at nsdigiport.ca. So if you haven't signed up for it in your tourism business, you should definitely do that. There's a lot of valuable things there. So I'd like to introduce today, we have Nesta Matthews with Acadia Broadcasting. And Nesta is an early adopter of social media and has a lot of really great information to share. Nesta is a morning host with Acadia Broadcasting with over 2 decades of experience. And you can find her on Twitter and Instagram at Nesta Amazing, at Nesta on the radio, Facebook, and on TikTok at Nesta Matthews. So thank you for joining us today, Nesta. Really excited for your presentation, and I invite you to share your screen, and looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me. So yes, here we go. It's back right here. And there we go. Optimizing social media so your customers can find you. It's an interesting topic in the fact that, of course, as we go through it all, that's really the main point, is what we all want to go on. Is everyone we want to be found is how it runs down. But getting found is obviously a little bit trickier than it stands. So my background comes from media. I'm fortunate in the fact that I've always had a slight launching point. Like, I never had to be the one that was selling my own product. I was basically just the face of another product. I mean, there's a lot of rules and regs and different things that you have to watch out for when it comes to that. But it did give a great view on how the different social medias have come in, how they've started to develop over time and evolve, and how they've really turned into some great ways to get, I hesitate to say free advertising, because of the fact that we know that it's not all free. We know that there's work that needs to go into it. We know that there's effort that needs to go into it. And now there's actually a lot of staff that goes behind it. But it is definitely a way that if you're not using it, you're leaving a giant loophole, and there's probably a lot of customers that are getting left behind. Now, I don't know if any of you are watching the show on CBC Moonshine. I'm going to say right up, if you are watching it, I'm assuming that probably it's about as factual when it comes to running a bed and breakfast in Nova Scotia as factual as it is for running a radio station, because I would get fired. I'm just going to say that right there. But it is interesting because the push is that it's supposed to be this old bed and breakfast that's always been able to keep going with the clients they've had, and they're trying to get some money, and they need to, bring it back to life again, and the things that they go through. And one thing really not ever talked about is social media. And it's funny because one of the pushes is that they don't want to lose their soul. And that's not at all what social media is about. Like, you don't need to feel, if you feel in any way in what you're doing with your social media that you are getting away from who you are, then you're not doing it right. Because your social media presence, not to get all Mark Zuckerberg and Meta on you, but you need to start thinking about it as basically your avatar online. If somebody was to come across your Instagram or your Facebook or your whatever it is that you decide that you're going to be using, does it represent you? Like, if you look at it, you're like, yeah, you know what? Everything about it sounds like us. It feels like us. Is it, when you go to that, does it give the whole environment that you want people to feel when they feel about your place of business? Because that's really what it should be. And that's the way that it lets you customize it and get into everything that's in there. But we're going to back up. So starting off with the real basics here, is your contact information on your socials? Because if your contact information is not on there, that's obviously a giant flaw. Have you tested it? When you put your address into your Twitter account, did you go online and click on that link and make sure that it actually leads to your property? Did you have a friend go from their computer and go and test it too? Because I know that sounds like the most ridiculous thing in the world, but you would be amazed how many companies that you go on and it takes you to, instead of St. John, New Brunswick, where I'm at, you're suddenly in St. John's, Newfoundland. Or instead of San Jose, California, you're suddenly down in Costa Rica. You really need to double check all of the things, and maps especially, because so often these days when people are getting into you, they're clicking on your link, they're putting it in their GPS. And if they end up in the middle of a cow field, in the middle of a rainstorm, cursing you completely, that's going to be the memory that they have of you. It won't be, oh, it was so lovely, it was wonderful once we got there. The story is always going to start off with how they got lost. So basic when it comes for people finding you online, make sure that they can physically find you online. And that brings us to geocaching or tagging. Now, this is a really thing that is very convenient. We here at Acadia, we also have our online business magazine Huddle today. So I'm showing in our lovely Instagram post, you can see that it says Fredericton, New Brunswick. Now, the reason that it's so important to be using all of these geotags is that it means you're going to show up in people's discovery feeds. So they've got both the top and the recent down. The top is, of course, the most liked pictures. So this is where it's to your advantage to have these great photographs that are going to keep coming up and going to keep grabbing everyone's attention. Because if you can get into that top link, that means every single time somebody is looking for Fredericton, every single time somebody is looking for Halifax or for whatever geotag that you've put in there, you're going to be in the top. Now, recent is also in there, which is convenient. So if you're doing regular posting and it's going to still be showing up, trying to get into those top 9 spots in the discovery page, it's going to change the whole evolution of how people are seeing your social media. Now, at Fortune Brainstorm's Tech Conference, Prabhakar Rangavan was talking about it because people, when they're searching for you, he was saying in their studies, something like almost 40% of young people, when they're looking for a place for lunch, they don't go to Google Maps or search. They're going to TikTok. They're going to Instagram. So what they're doing is they're going into these different social media sites and they're putting in the place they want to go, food, or whatever it is that they're looking for. And this is what's coming up. So you want to make sure that, first of all, you've got the geotag there that says you are in that spot. So that way, if somebody's planning a vacation, if they're planning a lunch, even if they're just suddenly sitting there at work and going, what are we going to do after today? You want to be one of the top ones that comes up. So make sure that you are geotagging everything that you're putting online when it comes to any of the social medias, because that is going to be a huge payoff at the end of it, especially the way that things are starting to run with circles and with share groups and with close friends. It seems like geotagging is probably going to be a lot more adventuresome. And with the rise in like the Facebook dating and things along that side, it would not be out of reason to start thinking Facebook's going to try to make a buck wherever they can. So if they can start suggesting sponsored businesses in our area, this isn't a thing yet. I'm just saying it wouldn't be out of reason to start thinking that would be a direction that they might start looking at. Now, when other Instagram users search for that same geotag, the same thing, say I'm going to Fredericton at that point and I'm looking for something. If I click on it in another photo, the neat thing is that the post is also going to be found. So that means if my friends have found your post, it's going to be that much more likely to suggest the post to me. And that means that you're going to go and exchange it. That's why Instagram posts with a geotag get 79% more engagement than those that don't have any. So that's a huge statistic right there. So make sure that you are geotagging. And then the cool thing is too, if you are more likely to see from a brand you've engaged with. So maybe I entered a contest at one point in time and it happened to have your name on it and I put it in there and I completely forgot about it. And then I go back and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm looking for some place to go. I'm going to the Hopewell Rocks. What's to eat in Alma? All of a sudden it's going to pop up as the very first thing on the search one. Well, hey, I talked to the Holy Whale on that contest they did 6 months ago. It's going to be my very first option. And it'll be, oh yeah, I read about that. That looked really good. And so this is one more reason you should always, always, always reply to any comments that you get on your post, but we will come back to that in just a little bit later. And then of course, not to mention that if you own a brick and mortar store, adding your location tag is just going to help local followers find their way to your physical store that much more easily. Now, most people are cruising Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all of that on a mobile device. So the other thing is when I mentioned linking your web page or wherever it is you want them to go on your bio, make sure that it is a mobile optimized page. Because if suddenly they're on their device and they're linking back to you and it's going to a hard to read or obviously archaic web page, it's going to give them an impression of you. It just may not be the impression that you're going for. Old, archaic, not generally what we want to have pulling up. Now, speaking of Instagram, images are being overtaken right now by Reels, but photos are still getting out there. We're going to talk about it a little bit more with the hashtag differences once we get in there. But the thing is, if you are freaking out about it, don't. Images are still very, very important on social media. And images are going to catch attention a lot faster than just going by text alone. Some ways, if maybe you don't have an image to support what you're talking about, a lot of people are going with the infographics. So you can get the lovely picture where it's got the words written on it and all that. It is going to catch attention better than just putting up a basic Facebook post or a basic LinkedIn post or whatever frames that you're using. You are trying to get people's attention. And if your business has a restaurant or some amazing sunsets, start getting creative. I mean, use pictures of your community, the weather, landmarks, your team, your pets. People love pets. I mean, those things are always going to go over really well when you're looking at it. But also give them places to take pictures and to do this geotagging for you, because it doesn't need to be you doing all the work. The great thing with social media is everybody wants to win stuff or be an influencer. So if you know you've got this beautiful corner in the one section of your property, and that is always the perfect sunset shot, put a sign up beside it. Say, take your sunset selfie. Heck, spell it out for them. Go through the fact that you're like, no, you want to go, these are the times that you can get your best sunset selfie, so they can go and they can check it out. And then give them an extra incentive at the bottom of it. Say, oh yeah, we're going to reward you for it. And the great thing is, and I say this with love, you don't have to give them stuff all the time. Like, it doesn't need to be, we're giving it away once a month. It could be even one weekend a year, we're giving away a stay to someone that has given us a picture that we shared on our social media. Not even saying they have to have tagged you in it or something like that. Figure out your budget, figure out what makes sense to give away. But even just doing that one little tiny, we might give you something for doing it, people are way more likely to post a picture. Even if it's just going up on their stories, it doesn't matter to you. It's still giving you that chance to do the organic share of a very satisfied customer who is very happy with that perfect view. And again, because it's geotagging, anybody who goes back to that area is going to find all of these amazing photos that you've gone up. That does go though too, if you have a really awful section or a view and there's no way to hide it. Like, can you make a joke out of it? Can you put something silly in the view out of that window that'll kind of like break the surface? Last year for my 10th anniversary, I don't know what the hotel was thinking, honestly, but they ended up, after my stepdad called to say, this was our 10th anniversary, they moved us down from the 11th floor to the 2nd floor, right across the hallway from my kids and my parents for my anniversary. And we had an amazing view out the window of the dumpsters. So you better believe I went online and I shared that. Like, are you kidding? Like, how funny is that for me that I got to go for my wedding anniversary, romantic, so wonderful. And here's our spectacular view. I mean, I didn't mean anything by it, but the fact of the matter is all of my friends and followers or whatever still saw that as the example. And other people are going to do it too. So start looking for both, not only your highlight spots to get people taking pictures, But start looking at the bad photos that they're posting of you too, and start going, is there anything we can do about that? Is there a way we can make a joke about that? Even if it's just a little, sticky that goes in the window that says this view isn't so great, but have you checked out and mention a spot that maybe they could take fabulous photos? It's not going to hurt you in the end run, but the bad pictures getting geotagged continuously could be a strong drawback if you know that's how it's going. Let's get back to another basic. Is your Facebook page a page? Now, there is still a lot of personal pages going out there when it comes to businesses.
Nesta, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, yes.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, but I don't know if I missed it. And just for anyone that may not know, so when they geotag it, is that just something
Yes.
as simple as like when they're posting and it's an option for them?
Yes, it's just that simple, honest to goodness. Yeah, just make sure you're saying where the picture's taken. And if for some reason you're sharing it later, so your GPS is pulling up saying, no, now you're back home, go right in where you were and just change it to exactly where you want it to be.
Okay.
And make sure that your business, same thing when you're setting up your business page and you're putting your address in, it should link that. So if you're going, I don't know why it's not pulling it up right, that's your information that you put in the first place, but use it. It's so simple. It's so simple.
Wonderful.
It's just one of those things that a lot of times with all the privacy warnings and all that we hear, yeah, if it's pictures of you and your kids, maybe not. But when it comes to your business stuff, make sure it is always on. So back to the Facebook page. Yeah, you need to make sure it's a business page. In this day and age, there's literally no excuse for you still to be having like your business name, as first and last name on Facebook. Back in the early days, that was the only way you could do it. Heck, I remember signing up for Facebook when I had to pretend I was an American university in order to page. But it's come a long way since then. So not only is it going to make you look bad if you don't have that page, it actually violates Facebook's policies. So if they find you, they could delete your account, which if you've spent a lot of time cultivating all of these friends and all of that, all these pictures, you're going to lose it. It's all going to annoy your friends. The really big thing is that it's giving creepy vibes to potential customers, because by being a friend personal account with them, it's giving you access to all of their kid pictures. It's giving you access to all of their, work talks and their drunk photos and all that. We don't want businesses having that kind of view in our lives. We want to be able to like their stuff and enter their contests and see what's going on with their opening hours. That's why you need the business page. It's going to get you that little bit of separation. And it's the good kind of location tracking we want, not the bad kind of location tracking. It also opens you up to all sorts of like legal stuff later on, because if your staff or your employees have access to these people's pages, you don't want to have to start writing random DMs and all of that things. Honestly, just make it a business page. You won't lose your followers for it, and it'll make it that much easier. It's also going to make sure that with Meta these days, they have gone and linked everything for you. So I know that somebody was asking the question of how do I go through and link them? You need to have a business page for Instagram and for Facebook, and then you can just go into the Meta Suite. Meta Suite, as much as I really do not want to give Mark any more ways to take over the world, it makes your life a lot easier. You can actually post between whether you want things going on both of them at the same time. I personally would not recommend having the exact same post go up on most of them a lot of the time, but it does give you that option. And it also lets you see on a calendar when the posts have gone up. It shows you the analytics of how the posts are doing. It's doing a lot of the work for you. Whether or not you know how to translate all of that information is a whole different thing. But again, we'll tighten that up in a little bit. The thing is, yes, do make sure that you are using them linked. The only thing is, if you are using more than Facebook and Instagram, you are going to have to go and get a subscription to like a multimedia dashboard. That's something that at Acadia, we can help you set up with one of our services. But as of now, there used to be services that would let you do multiple platforms. Meta destroyed them all and said, no, you have to use our product. Sorry. Okay, so let's talk brand. Brand, as I was saying, it's all about being you online. And yes, these are the creepy meta people that have legs now, according to Mark as of yesterday. Brand gets thrown around a lot, but it does relate back to this avatar that I mentioned, because your brand is your starting point on social media. It's the online extension of your brand. And so the companies that do really well on social media. They have figured out who they are, who they want their customers to be, what kind of relationship they want to have with them. Like, are you looking to be best friends? Are you the place that anytime I'm going out with my girlfriends, I'm going to think of you first every single time? Are you the romantic getaway? Are you their cheap travel buddy? Yeah, the sexy one night stand. I mean, these are all not only your branded hashtags and something that you really need to be thinking about. We'll come back later. It really needs to be what you're thinking about when it comes to all of your social media. Is it going to be what you want representing you? Because when you stop and think, your social media, this is your core platform that is representing you, and it's usually communicating with your client base. 64% of people, according to Hootsuite's 2022 study, they would rather message a business than call them. So that means you have to monitor your social media. And this is something that a lot of people get tuned into. Again, another great thing with Meta, which is again, Facebook and Instagram, they know how important returning messages are. And that's why if you go to your business Facebook page, it actually ranks your response time. One, the idea of that is that it's going to give your clients an idea of how fast you're going to be responding to them. But it also gives you an idea of how well you are doing and how well you're dropping the ball. I know it seems like a strange thing to regularly harp on, but checking your messages once you set up your social media really is integral. Now, you can set up auto replies, and those are great. I mean, they at least make people seem that they've been seen, which is always important, but you do need to follow up. And again, I live by the mantra that if something requires more than 2 emails, pick up a phone. Same thing with messaging back and forth. But the thing with Instagram, this is a tricky one. So, okay, here's on Instagram. That's how you check your messages. But you got to check your primary messages. You need to check your general messages. Then you got to check your requests. And for some stupid reason, once you get into requests, you need to go and click on this little drop down. It says top requests and change it to all requests. Now, more often than not, you're going to get the spam messages of people trying to be like, buy the counts and, get all these followers and everything along those lines. However, sometimes just enough to tick you off, they're going to put an actual request from an actual customer that had the most reasonable request in the world or wanted to buy something or wanted to book something, and they have gotten lost in this folder. Those messages do not show up in your Meta suite. So make a regular habit of literally going into Instagram and checking that stupid all requests folder, because it's going to bite you somehow, and I just don't know exactly when it's going to happen. And no one's saying you need to leave your notifications on either. Like just having the binging all the time driving you crazy, I understand, depending on what kind of level of volume of business that you're doing, it doesn't always make sense. But you need to set up a schedule then. You need to realize, what am I doing for when I'm checking it? If I'm telling my staff when they need to check it, when do they need to check it? So I generally try to do an hourly sweep. I do this so, and I have a difference for when I'm on air and when I'm off air. When I'm on air, when it comes to all of the work counts, I'm checking them hourly to half hour at least. But when I'm in my own personal life, I generally scale that back to about every 4 hours. And then I can check in and make sure that everything's going reasonably around. So do make sure that you are checking all of those messages, make sure that you're responding reasonably. And is it something done through the native app for Meta Suite? Again, that's going to be depending on Instagram is the one thing that it tries to sneak some stuff in. However, Meta Suite does show in your inbox, theoretically, all of your messages coming down. The problem being that it's still worth your effort to honestly go and try to check it every once in a while. It's not a perfect system yet, but it's getting there. The other one, though, as I was mentioning earlier, you got to reply to every comment that someone makes. Because one, it's not only improving the customer service. If somebody's saying, oh, I had a great stay, so glad you enjoyed yourself. But what it's also doing is it's increasing your engagement. And engagement on social media right now still really is that prime indicator, because they give a comment and then you respond back, and then maybe they respond back to you. All of a sudden, you've gone from just being a basic post to a post with engagement. And that engagement post means that all of a sudden, all of the different platforms are going, ooh, this post needs to be seen by more people. It's getting people talking. So the more interaction that's happening, even if it's just you, is going to help bump that up there. And that means so more visibility to more people, that's good. And it does also include the nasty things that people have to say. Now, if you can turn around and take the high road on it, I mean, great, unless they're an awful person that you don't want to have as a customer. But in that case, be sure to own that. Like if somebody's coming after maybe one of your employees and you're like, no, you're not coming back in here, then of course put your foot down. But just, you're all business people, you know exactly when, where not to do that. This is basically an opportunity for you to fix things with an unhappy customer. I mean, beware of trolls. There are going to be some people that are out there that are just trying to like get some action happening on top of what's going down there. But there's no shame in hiding the comment and then responding to them privately via a private message or a direct message. But you should still be looking at that going, this is a criticism. What would I say if somebody was standing in front of me with this criticism, and how would I address it? Don't just leave them hanging, because then they're just gonna be like, oh, I had an awful stay. I told them about this and then I never heard anything back. Doesn't really put any of you ahead. So, okay, you know who you are. You know who you are talking to. This is leading it down to design choices and social platform choices. And this is when you start needing a social media plan. Now, Sky, you were asking the best platform for a new business. It really does depend on the new business. Google search and SEO look for business profiles on Facebook first to increase your credibility in the search engines. So we would be happy to help you set up. Anyone in our consultants here and their advertising or marketing managers for Acadia Broadcasting. But I mean, Facebook these days is one that it's kind of like the new Yellow Pages more than anything else. Like if you don't just have a page, even if you're not doing anything with it, just to tell people what your hours are, when you're open, how to contact you, you should have it. It's free. Why not do it in that case? But no one's saying that you need to be actively involved with it if it's not something that you're really passionate about. It's a good idea if you're sitting here in a social media conference to be finding out about it, but no one's saying it's a be all and end all. I will say, I've worked for a couple places though that Facebook has become very trendy to be on or off. I've got managers that'll be like, oh, I'm not on that. If you are requiring your employees to be on a platform that is pushing your business, you need to be on that platform. I'm not saying that you need to be active on it. I'm just saying you need to have an understanding of how it works. You need to have an understanding of what it is in the first place. And I say that as someone who has a complete Luddite of a husband. He's a chef. He can take pictures of food, but if you want him going and he can't do it. So then start looking at going, okay, if I don't know how this works, I need to have an employee that can explain to me how this works and take it over. And that's where you get a lot of the people talking about, oh, it's the social media intern drop the ball. You're not getting a lot of social media interns that are running things for big companies anymore. It's just not the States. But if you do have a younger employee who is super into social media and is like, I would love to start doing TikTok with that, there's no saying that you can't take advantage of that, but you should still understand how it works. So take the time to sit down with them and have them spell it out for you going, why would we do this? Why wouldn't we be doing this? What are these people saying? Is this good or bad? Understand where it goes. And that's what I'm saying with the design choices. So when you are going and designing your Instagram page, if you have found this like lovely color platform all in soft pastels and you're a hard rock live music venue, there's a disconnect there. So you do need to start thinking about what kind of aesthetic am I sharing in my social media? Is there an aesthetic? Do I need an aesthetic? Because probably you do, because this is, as we said, representing your brand online. And if you've got that whole image, then you need to be supporting that with the images that you have. And the same thing does go with your social platform choices. Now, with Facebook being now considered to kind of be the older market, if you're going after Gen Z, then yeah, you're not going to be diving hot into Facebook. However, Gen Z is still on Facebook. As I said, it's like the Yellow Pages thing. It's something that they're using more as a utility a lot of times. It may not be where they're going for their advertising, but they are still on it. So you're not losing that cluster when you're talking about it. When you go through the best social media mediums for municipal government around tourism, general services, citizen engagement, again, it kind of depends what you're trying to achieve. Are you looking for something that's going to get emergency notices out to them? Twitter and Insta obviously going to help with some things. If you're looking for general PR, LinkedIn is the one to be looking at. Facebook Live. They're all so similar, but you do need to start going, okay, if I'm looking for women that are categorized in this ages, where do I need to start leaning? And if I'm looking for men that are doing this, again, that's when you need a social media plan. And if this is all sounding like a foreign language, again, give a call to a company like Acadia or any others that can go and try to help you figure out what that plan is for what your product is, who you want to get it out to, and how you want to get it out there. Now, the benefits of Google Ads and impressions advertising, how to make the right choice, what is the average, and all that kind of stuff. That is out of my wheelhouse. And I'm actually going to have Jen, who's one of our marketing directors, come on at the end and hopefully address that. Okay, I mentioned this one though being the big one, and that is hashtags. Now, hashtags originally came from actually ICQ, funny enough. When Twitter was starting to do their launching pads, they wanted something to help differentiate people into different groups. Basically, to improve your eavesdropping experience on Twitter, you could see who was talking about what by the hashtags that they got on. And I'm a huge Twitter user. I totally appreciate hashtags. I loved when they started going off to the other products because, yeah, it makes so much sense. If I'm looking for a short haircut, I can go on Instagram and I can put in short haircut and it's going to bring it all up to me. If I'm looking for skiing in Quebec, I can, it's going to bring that up for me. And that's a really, really useful service. As I said before, young people are using Instagram and TikTok to search more than they are using Google Maps and things in the equivalent. So this is where we start going with the hashtags. Product, niche, location. Those are really your big 3 regions to choose a hashtag. So I'm going to say probably fair enough that most of us on this call would probably want to use Nova Scotia as a hashtag. I mean, it seems really generic, it seems really broad, but at the same time, we want to make sure people know where you are. If you could follow it up with like your exact location, then, sure, go for it. After that, it starts getting tricky because on one hand, if you're using one of the most popular hashtags, then it's bringing you into this huge category, which has thousands upon millions of people that are looking at this category. At the same time, it's really hard to rise to the top if you're not one of those top ones. So maybe all of a sudden, Nova Scotia South Shore or Nova Scotia fishing, that might be as in one word. And if you are putting multiple words into your hashtags, make sure you capitalize the first word of each of those words. It makes it not only easier for people to read, but it actually means that if somebody's using software that is reading the text for them, it makes it easier to understand. So it's just a good rule of thumb to get into the habit of capitalizing that first word in the hashtags. And then, let them find you. So this is like, are you rustic? Are you glamour? Are you kid friendly? Are you pet friendly? Heck, my husband was on crutches after a fall this summer, and we were trying to find a boat tour that was disability friendly. And there was no way to search for it. There was nothing on websites. There was nothing on, I tried Googling it. I tried putting in all the keywords and literally nothing came up for disability friendly, anything inclusive, anything like that. I had to literally call each of the companies to find out. If there would have been even one boat tour that would have had the hashtag that it brought it up, I probably would have called them and booked. And as it stood, we never ended up finding one. There might be one out there, but just because there was no way for me to find it, this is where the hashtags are going to start coming in. The problem with hashtags, and I know this is such a pain, and I apologize, the game is constantly changing. Some people say, I've never used any hashtags at all, and I've shot to success. And yeah, if your content is strong enough, you don't need to spell it out like that. The problem is that most of us aren't starting at celebrity status. We're not all going in there like a Kardashian where everyone's going to watch our video and share it, even if we didn't put anything on it. So hashtags really are going to be how you start to build. And the neat thing with Instagram is because it actually lets people follow certain hashtags. So find out what those big hashtags in your niche are, make sure that you are following them and using them, and then start looking at the more successful posts and seeing what's going to be coming up. So how many? Okay, so right now with Instagram, 3 to 5 is what's recommended. You used to need a lot more, and that's because Instagram wasn't super great at searching. So you really needed to dumb it down for their search engine. They've gotten a lot better, significantly better, except for when it comes to Reels. Reels are still in the dark ages. So you can use as many hashtags as you want on Reels to try to get yourself found. The thing is, it will probably eventually change over to the way it is on Instagram right now. But as it stands, with Reels and with TikTok, because of each of your little tiny micro niche categories. If you are one of the top videos in your niche, in your hashtag, it's going to start putting you out to more and more people on that feed. So if you can figure out how to climb to the top of your tiny niche and then start making it into the bigger ones, that's going to be the way that you're going to really start getting more engagement and more of that viral push out than just by with you and your content and everyone sharing it. The most important thing is really just to be precise. Now, okay, so other hashtags as we're talking about, Facebook's current algorithm, it really want more than 5 to 8 hashtags, but 5 to 8 is quite a few. LinkedIn is still at about 5 to 8 at this one. And again, it's always changing. So it's a good idea to have a strategy session at least once a year about your business, talk to your consultant. Again, this comes back to your social media plan. But yes, the most important thing with hashtags, you want to be accurate, you want to be precise, and you want to be relevant. And put them in the description, not in the comments. It used to be something that you could go on Instagram or on Facebook and you could write your whole post and then you would go and put your hashtags in the comments so it wasn't cluttered. Don't do that anymore. It's not actually showing up in search functions. You want to put it into your content. Again, the meta suite can, if you're having problems getting the enters in or the spacing or things along those lines, it'll show you exactly what it's going to look like on the screen. So you can decide by that if it's looking too busy or not. Would use accessibility. Okay. Oh, sorry. My apologies for that. Some terms not okay anymore. Yeah, that totally makes sense. So when it comes to your Instagram name, this is also some place that you can put some of those important hashtags as they come up. So like say you are a boutique hotel, you are a rustic camp, you are ecotourism yurts, whatever it is, if you know that's something that people are using to search for you on a regular basis, your Instagram name, not on the handle, like the @ symbol, but on your actual name that shows up on the screen, put up what you are. Be like, yes, it is Nesta's amazing eco huts, or, glamour yurts, or whatever it is, put that into your name because it will actually increase the chances of you being found upon that. And if you're using a branded hashtag for your business, so whatever it is, that hashtag that you're using, it's something that you use on all your communications, it's something that you use on all of your things, then please make sure that you're putting inside that hashtag what that is inside your bio. It's a very important part of it. Now, the final thing that when you're looking to is working smart, not hard. Posting is obviously one of the best ways to get found. You do need to be consistent in it as it is coming up. Consistently, daily's best. 3 times a week is good. You know what I mean? Like 3 times a week is really what they're looking at as a medium. Photos, as we mentioned, in videos are going to get more attention, and geotag those locations every single time. And then hashtags. I'm saying here, a comment says saying Tourism Nova Scotia pulls photos into our social and online marketing. So yeah, visit Nova Scotia. So if businesses visit Nova Scotia on their posts, they see their posts and that they end up leveraging through the marketing. And that's exactly what happens with a lot of different places, is your tourism board is always going to be looking for the pretty photos. The reasons we're here. A lot of times when it comes to a lot of different businesses, and I mean, as we know, if someone's going to say nice things about us, we are likely to go and post that. That's actually another really great way to get seen online, is make sure that you're treating your social media like a conversation, especially when it's a business post. A lot of times we get held up in the fact that this is us and we're commenting to people, but you need to remember that you're in a business community. So if you've got suppliers that, like you're getting oysters fresh in from this guy, go and comment on his social posts and be like, oh my gosh, can't wait till we have those for our dinner on Friday. Make sure that you're commenting with whoever delivers your flowers. Or, looked beautiful for the wedding that we had here on Saturday. Start giving shout outs to all those different vendors on their social media, and they're going to be that much more likely to come back and do it with yours. It's just a way of really making sure that you are sharing the love as it comes through. The other part that you want to do is repost. TikTok has turned this into a huge thing of post your most viral video from the last year. And this is awesome. I mean, even if your viral video only got out to like 13 people, whatever, it was viral for you. So go and say, this was our most watched video. Not only are you getting a chance to reuse this great content, but you're getting a chance to possibly show it to people that never saw it before. Same thing with a post that maybe you didn't think it got the attention that it deserved. Post it again. Maybe you can do it with a different caption. Radio, we do this a lot. We might talk about the same thing 4 times throughout the morning, but every time we approach it, we're doing it with a slightly different angle. If you can start thinking of ways to do that with your pictures of your dog that is going to be greeting people as they welcome, you can turn those around multiple times. Repost your customer tagged photos and videos. Again, ask for permission. Offering them a chance to win something is always a great way. And a really, really simple way in order to get a little extra push for it is don't forget about your Facebook and your Instagram stories. One, that's great stuff maybe you don't think is important to make it enough to your main feed, but also share the post from yesterday into today's stories, and you might be showing it to a whole group of people that never saw it before. So posting, reposting, commenting, and more so than anything else, I know it seems like the hashtag game keeps going back and forth. And no one's saying that you necessarily have to even put the hashtag before it in each point, but say on your posts where you are. Make sure that you're commenting what your product is. Make sure you're commenting how people can get there, what you're looking for availabilities. And you may not realize just how much you're getting a chance to turn around and leverage all of those things for it. And then, of course, the big thing is everyone wants to know, how do we go viral? Don't bet on it. It's really hard to go viral. Oh my gosh. And going viral in the first place seems to be something that is just luck, more so than anything else sometimes. Yes, if it happens, it could be your bread and butter. You suddenly could be the next TV show on HGTV that's going to be happening, and they're going to be documenting your process. But even then, realize that you need to have a whole lot of content to keep backing it up. They always say the only thing harder than putting out a #1 album is trying to put out the follow-up album. Because that first album, you've had like years to get to that level of success. And then all of a sudden you have to turn around and get it. Same thing with going viral. You may have been working for ages to finally get that one thing that everybody notices, but now everyone is going to be looking at each of your next posts to be as amazing. And it's hard. So don't bet on viral, bet on just really trying to build up a client base the same as you would with any business. I mean, it would be great to be suddenly gifted in an Oscar bag, but it probably won't happen. So just focus on the fact that you're looking at everyday customers who are looking for their perfect experience, and you want to be the one to show them how you can do that. Any questions, I guess? Oh, no, Jen, I had mentioned earlier with Jen that she was going to turn around and have a little bit talking about what you should be looking at for paying and hiring people. And when you get to that point, Jen, do you want to come online and can I do that? I know how to do that. That old Nick.
Hi.
There we go. I can hear you.
Just had to get the invites. Thank you very much, Jennifer, for including me, and Nesta for also letting me have a chance to share and answer some of these questions. I'm the marketing manager for Acadia Broadcasting. Nesta is our social media specialist. As a marketing manager, I focus on how to reach specific customers, monitoring marketing strategy, focusing on your consumer behavior. And I have tons of experience and education in destination marketing, which is very relatable to all of you. One of the questions that you guys asked was the benefits of Google Ads versus impressions advertising and how to make the right choice. Honestly, there's 2 different types of Google Ads, and a lot of people don't understand that. There's Google Search, and then there's Google Ads. Google Ads are actually a display ad that is impression-based, that goes out on various websites that are Google property purchases, and still is based on impressions and click-throughs, but is a physical ad like any other digital strategic distribution methodology. Google Search and Google Display Ads are fantastic if you're trying to reach new customers and target new people that don't know about you before they're interested in your product. Google Search is, I'm in the product right now. I'm ready to make a decision. I want a hotel near X, Y, and Z concert, or I want to go golfing in Cape Breton. So you're going to put in golfing in Cape Breton. You want to make sure that you're at the top of that search. Now, most of us, when we're looking individually, tend to scan down below those ads, but the average user does not. They're looking at those top ones, and those ads that you see in the search engine are what Google search ads are. And pricing on them can vary. Acadia Broadcasting does help you with that. We do have a Google Search Network strategic management system, but in general, like to give you an idea, you can have one product featured and about 10 keywords and 2 to 3 different ads, depending on what the search is, that rotates when someone's looking for you. And that would run you about $300 a month. If you're looking for 2 products or services, like let's say you're golfing, but you also are a key wedding destination, then you're looking, that's 2 different products. You'd pick about 20 keywords. We would help you with all of those of what you should select. And then you'd have 2 to 3 ads, which is the highlighted bold on your search engine, that would make that difference. And that opportunity would be about $600 a month. You can do them as one-off, you can do them as multiple. Obviously, the longer you do them, especially during key seasons. So that's really the difference. And with Google ad displays that are searching for people in the market, is they only use their own opportunities. And it's a much broader than targeting specifically through other different programs. We do offer both. You can get in touch with us, we'll help you. In addition to that, we, if you just don't know where you stand compared to your competitors or in the industry, you can contact someone at Acadia, and with a free consultation, we can actually within 24 hours do an online presence report that shows you how you're comparing versus everyone else in the industry, what keywords are being found out by now, how your listings are and how accurate they are currently, and start the conversation of how you might want to fix those. Also, some of the conversations that you guys asked are really broad questions about how to, the ones on which media that you should be on. Nesta, being the expert, talked about some specifics. But if you, for example, were in the off season, wanted to focus on business and conferencing, you want to be focused on LinkedIn that time of year. That's your B2B option. But during your major tourist season, bang on Instagram, Facebook. For the governments, if it's emergent, it's Twitter, it's getting things out as fast as possible. You kind of look at, there's certain media platforms that are, I'm doing this now, which tend to be Instagram and Twitter. Facebook is, I did this already. And then obviously there's radio, which is, this is what's coming up and what's happening now. Just consider radio the live version. A lot of people don't even realize how much experience Acadia Broadcasting has in digital, but we can't keep our stations growing without understanding this platform. So we're about 50-50 right now in the radio side and all of our digital services, and constantly growing. So feel free to reach out to Nesta and through her contact. Go to our website, acadiabroadcasting.ca. We have tons of Nova Scotia tourism companies that we've already worked with. We've worked with resorts, golf courses, restaurants, hotels, theaters, you name it. We've already been involved with them, and we'd love to share those expertise and stories with you. I think that's it. If I've missed any questions, feel free to ask. And other than that, I'll turn it over to Nick.
Thank you so much. That was really, really insightful and really great information. I will just ask anybody on the call if there's any additional questions. I would also like to say that this is a really great turnout, because we had almost as many people show up as signed up, which is just positive. So that's great. I don't see any other questions. I will start my video now. So thank you so much. I do believe that Acadia Broadcasting is going to look into the signing up for the one-on-one sessions, which is available through Digital Nova Scotia's programming, and that of course is free of charge to the business, but don't worry, the businesses are paid for it. So it's a win-win for everyone involved. And if you have any questions, or if you want to discuss anything additional with Acadia Broadcasting, they're gonna, I believe, start the process and get signed up for one-on-ones, and then that will be available as well. So I'm going to take back the screen. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day, Nesta and Jen.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
So thank you again. Today's webinar just shows there's so much valuable information in the industry, and we're so happy to be able to share that. Next webinar will be on November 10th, topic to be announced. You can subscribe to our news and resources section and at Tourism Nova Scotia, and we'll share any upcoming webinars. If you'd like to share any previous webinars that would be valuable to you, or share with a colleague, you can find them on the link on the screen. I'd also like to talk about the Tourism Digital Assistance Program launched on the 12th, and that offers businesses up to $5,000 in services from a qualified digital consultant. This could include services such as website design, search engine optimization, digital marketing, social media, online booking, podcast, photography, video, e-commerce, many different categories of assistance. The applications are open until October 26th. If you are signed up for our newsletter, you will have gotten this information as well. Just encourage you to look into that and see if it's appropriate for your business or organization. Also, the Tourism Digital Adoption Assistance Program Communities is $15,000 for communities, and it's similar to the Digital Assistance Program for businesses, but this is for communities, and it's a little bit larger at $15,000, and that will help to bridge the digital gap communities find to attract visitors and encourage spending. Applications are also open until October 26th for that program. If you have any questions, please contact us on that, and we'll be able to help you out. You can contact us again on our website. All the information for the individual programs are available there, but you can email us at tnsbusiness@novascotia.ca if you have any suggestions on how to improve webinars and any future webinar ideas. Our corporate website is tourismns.ca. Our consumer website is novascotia.com. That's our call to action and where we send potential visitors. News and resources can be found tourismns.ca/news-resources. We're on Twitter as tourismns, and we're on LinkedIn at Tourism Nova Scotia. Thank you for joining us and taking the time out of your day to be here. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.